What's going on, hikers? In today's video, we are going to be talking about 7 myths that you should not believe about backpacking. If you're new to the channel, my name is Jeremiah Stringer, and here we talk about all things hiking and backpacking. So if you're into that kind of thing, consider subscribing to the channel. Now, this first myth, I'm going to start off with just assuming that you don't know much about backpacking, and I know a lot of you do already, but I'm going to imagine that you just heard about backpacking. You're doing some preliminary research. You know, when I first heard about backpacking, I was like, yeah, I heard about that when I was a kid, and you know, people would live in the US and they would fly to Europe and they would experience all these cultures and check out these great cities, and they'd experience all these awesome things. Well, that is more backpacking across the front country, right? This channel is mostly centered around the back country, and I gotta tell you, if your only experiences with backpacking across cities and that kind of thing, there is a whole new world for you. Backpacking across the back country means that you're going out and you're experiencing the woods and nature and that kind of thing. This could be the woods near your house. It could be a state park, a local park, a federal park. You know, there's all kinds of different places to check out the backpack. Or you could be doing a through hike, which is basically a long distance backpacking trip, something like the Appalachian Trail. And if you haven't heard of that, that will take you months to do, unless you're hiking really, really fast. Or the Pacific Crest Trail, or the Continental Divide Trail. And there's even some smaller trails, like I did the Long Trail in Vermont, which is hiking from the southern end to the northern end of the state of Vermont, ending in Canada. So the first myth, backpacking is not just across the cities to experience all that culture. You'll get culture, but you can get it in the backcountry too. Number 2, you have to go with a group or with a buddy or partner or something in order for you to be safe while you're backpacking. This cannot be further from the truth. Now, I will tell you, your first time, you probably will go with a group or somebody that knows what they're doing and have some experience in the backcountry, either backpacking or camping or something along those lines. But you can be safe out there by yourself. Now, of course, there's risks to everything, right? You could fall and break your leg and die out there. And you could fall off a cliff. There's a million things that can happen. I can't go through all the variables. So there are a number of things that you can do in order to help protect yourself. You can do things like make a plan. You can tell multiple people where you're going, where you're supposed to be. If you may have service, you can check in with people. And I would say also, if you're going alone, one of my most essential pieces of gear in that situation would probably be at least a GPS emergency beacon. So even if you can't text using a satellite device or something like that, and you don't have cell phone service, you can always hit an SOS button so that if you need rescue and you have your wits still about you and you've gotten hurt, you have that, you know, sitting in your back pocket, figuratively speaking. I will tell you, it's a completely different experience going by yourself. I have done it, and you know, I backpack a lot during the daytime. If I'm going with a group, I'll backpack by myself, and then you kind of meet up at camp. But if you're going completely alone, you have so much time to think. You have so much time to reflect. It gives you a chance to just think about things that normal everyday life gets droned out. And it's pretty awesome. And I would say one of the best parts is not having cell phone signal. And I'm sure you can relate in the comments. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are gonna relate to this in the comments, that without having cell phone service, sometimes it feels even more free. Nobody can bother you. You don't have to worry about all the problems in the world. It's just like I can breathe. I can escape all that with all the things going on. So you don't have to go with a group or a partner in order to be safe in the backcountry. But remember, there are some things that you can do that help protect your safety. Number 3 goes right along with what I was just saying. Whenever I first started backpacking, I was told, okay, a mountain lion's gonna get you, a bear's gonna get you, the boogeyman's gonna come out at night and get you. False. Right? I've been backpacking for years now. You know how many bear encounters I've had? And I've backpacked quite a bit. I've probably had 4 or 5 bear encounters. Now, I know people do get attacked by these wild animals, but oftentimes I see a lot of people telling me they're more scared of people than they are of animals whenever they're out in the backcountry, because you'll find out that animals are used to living out there and they know that you're not. And when they hear you coming, oftentimes they're just going to scatter. Now, I live on the East Coast, West Coast. It's a completely different ballgame with those mountain lions. I know that they have been known to actually hunt people. Don't let that scare you off. right? There's always things that you can do to help protect your safety. But if your number one fear is that you're going to get attacked by animals or somebody's going to kidnap you or rob you or something along those lines, I would actually consider saying it's a lot safer in the backcountry than out here in some of these cities. So don't let it hold you back. That is a myth. Number 4, you have to eat dehydrated meals. You got to eat oatmeal for breakfast. You got to eat a Cliff Bar for lunch. You have to eat a Mountain House meal for dinner. You don't have to do that. You never have to do that. Let me give you some good, clean advice here, okay? Oatmeal is great for breakfast, right? It's quick, it's easy, but especially in the winter months, you can take things like eggs. They sell these little plastic containers. If I can find some, I'll link them in the description along with a bunch of my other gear. You can find these plastic containers that are in the shape of eggs and that are going to keep your eggs from breaking. You can take bacon. You can take biscuits. Mr. Backpacking with Jason Sir and myself, we have baked biscuits. I don't know if you really consider it baking, but we cook biscuits over the fire using just aluminum foil or a cook pot or whatever you're going to take with you. A frying pan with some aluminum foil over it. We'll take butter out there. And for dinner, if it's hot out, you can freeze a steak or some fish or something like that. And by the time you get to your dinner time on the first night, oftentimes that will be fully de-thawed and ready for you to cook. And it's like it's been refrigerated the whole day. So don't let anybody tell you, nothing against these dehydrated meal companies, but don't let anybody tell you that that's the only things that you can eat in the backcountry. In fact, why don't you, the people who have some experience, comment some of your best meals that you've had in the backcountry. Number 5, this one, it makes me a little sad, but I'm going to be honest with you. Everybody says they get bit by the bug, right? I went backpacking and I was just hooked. Well, I'll tell you that is a myth. Now, me personally, this is anecdotal, I know. I was hooked. I absolutely fell head over heels with it, in love with it, and that's what inspired me to make this channel. I really wanted to help other people raise their quality of life on trail, and I wanted to document me learning backpacking and improving, and I wanted to share that with everybody. That's what this channel's for. But I will tell you, some people don't get hooked, okay? So it's sad, but it's true, and this is especially true with your spouse, right? My wife, unfortunately, I have made her cry more times on trail than any other situations in my entire life. And I feel bad every time. She goes, she loves me, she'll go, but she doesn't love it as much as me. So just because you want to be out there doesn't mean everybody else does. And you may take somebody, don't be too disappointed if they don't love it as much as you. Number 6, this is going to make some people angry, but I'm going to say it anyway. Number 6, the myth is ultralight is better. Not true. Now, kind of true, kind of not. Let me elaborate. Ultralight, if you're not familiar, means that your base weight is getting really, really low. So if we want to simplify things, you are taking a minimal amount of weight on your back. That could be done a number of ways, whether it's lighter gear or taking less stuff. But I will tell you, you really need to contemplate balancing between your comfort while you're actually on trail versus your comfort while you're at camp. Now, for most people, I would say they split the time almost down the middle between time at camp and time on the trail, but I could be wrong about that. It's circumstantial. If you're doing a thru hike and you're backpacking, like you have that backpack on, you're walking through the woods 15, 16 hours a day, then you may want to go ultralight. If you are going at a snail's pace and you're only going 2 miles in and you're gonna, you're happy with hiking just a little bit and setting up camp, you may want to take a ton of stuff so you can be super comfortable at camp. I can't tell you what to do here. I can't give you a whole lot of advice on this other than you have to figure out what style of backpacking you're doing. And that for me is different for every trip. Sometimes I'll do a section hike or a thru hike or something, and I know that I need dehydrated meals to save some weight on food. I know I need to leave my camp chair at home. I don't need 2 pillows, right? There's things that I can do. I can take a lighter sleep system. I can take my tent instead of my big hammock setup. Or, if it's wintertime and I'm going 3 miles in and I want to take that steak and I want to take some drinks and I want to take, extra snacks, that's fine too. One time, I don't think I have any B-roll of this, but backpacking with Jason and I, we went to the lake just a few miles in, right? Maybe 5-6 miles in, and we actually carried deflated tubes so that when we got into our camp spot, we could walk out, blow the tubes up, and hang out on the water. You know, it's different for every trip, but try balancing the comfort at camp with the comfort on the trail. I will tell you this though. Sometimes that one luxury item will give you more joy than anything else while you're on trail. For example, whenever I was through hiking the long trail, there's a guy named Caveman. That was his trail name anyway. And he carried a child-sized guitar half the length of the Appalachian Trail. So we're talking over 1,000 miles. Put it in a trash bag, wrapped it up, and stuck it on the outside of his backpack. And then we were in the same trail family on the long trail, and we played that guitar pretty much every night. And there were so many smiles, so much laughter, so much fun to be had from that one piece of gear. And it may have weighed an extra pound or two, but sometimes it's well worth it. Number 7. This one always gives me a laugh. But if you're new to backpacking, you can't talk about backpacking without talking about pooping in the woods. So let's talk about it for a second. Myth number 7 is you can't go backpacking because that means you're going to have to squat and poop in the woods. Not true. Not true at all. Some people, they think it's absolutely freeing to poop in the woods. Now, I'm not of that mindset. I'm actually not a huge fan, but there's a number of different ways to do it. So without getting too graphic, I'll list off a few and I'll save my favorite for last. And it's been a game changer for me. So one way to do it is to squat, right? You dig a hole, you dig a cat hole, you squat over it, you poop in it, you cover it back up. Another way is you can hang on to a tree and lean back, squat down and use that tree to hold your weight. Another way to do it is, let's say there's a fallen tree, maybe it has a little moss on it. You let your butt hang off the end of that tree. It's got to be the right height. The tree has to be the right thickness, but you let your butt hang off the back side, dig your cat hole, you poop back there. If you miss, just rake it in with a stick, cover it back up. And then my new favorite way to poop in the woods. It's actually made by a buddy of mine. I will put a link in the description if you want to check it out, if you want to purchase one yourself. He didn't sponsor this video. He didn't tell me to say this, but he gave me one. It's called a porta privy. And basically what it is a hammock seat with a hole in it that you can poop through. Now, if you think that's absolutely gross and disgusting, you're afraid you're going to get it dirty, don't buy one. But for me, I'm telling you, it is a hammock that you can sit and poop in. I took it to my Land Between the Lake trip with a bunch of friends, and I walked off. I'm telling you, that was probably the best poop in the woods I have ever had. So hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you give me one of these. Subscribe to the channel because I'm doing more of these videos, and we'll see you in the next one.